certainly one of the big stories we're tracking for you. Finance Minister Tito Mboweni allocating 27 billion rand to ensure that the most vulnerable in society are able to receive a 350 rand social grant every month. It's aimed at providing some relief for people aged 18 to 59 who were left out of the social security net, including women and people living in rural areas. The question is, what is different this time round, and perhaps what has the Department of Social Development learned from the last round of payments? Let's get those answers now from Minister Lindiwe Zulu, who joins us via our video link. Minister, it's great to have you with us this morning on such an incredibly important story for the country. And I suppose the big question this morning, Minister, is when can people start applying? When are the first payments going to be made?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and a very good morning to you and your viewers. Thank you. This is really a very important element of the lives of the poor, actually, because when all is said and done, government is responding to the challenges that are going to be faced, that still have been faced by many who used to be able to fend for themselves in the past and are now unable to do so. On Wednesday, which is tomorrow, we are going to be making the announcements, firstly, of the directions, because remember that every time the president makes an announcement on one issue or the other, we have to change the direction. So we've done that already as a department. We also needed to make sure that the processing of that allocation from Treasury is done on time so that we don't make an announcement and then the next thing we are not able to pay. Thirdly, we're going to explain tomorrow the processes which people will have to follow. You'll recall that the very first time when this R350 was introduced, we had to make sure that we've got processes where people apply, there is verification, and then there is approval for those who qualify. So tomorrow we will be making those announcements, which will include the commencement of, firstly, the applications, when the applications will commence, and applications will commence this month, obviously, because when the announcement is made, we firstly need to check with Treasury the availability of all the funds and all. And then once the applications start, then we will process the applications. Nothing new is going to happen when it comes to the application processes. Safe to say that there has been an addition in terms of the people that have to apply that now includes the caregivers who had been excluded in the past.
So, Minister, tomorrow, we'll have to wait until tomorrow to get those dates from you, the commencement of applications and when the first payments will be made.
Absolutely, those dates will be given tomorrow. We're having a press briefing tomorrow because we decided that it's better for us to do a one package thing where we explain everything. But however, we did understand and appreciate that some people want to know. Many people, millions of people are very anxious about it. Some have already been calling and wanting to know. And that's why we thought, okay, let's take this interview because people need to know and be ready. And we must reduce the anxiety also on our people who are waiting and looking forward to go and collect their 350.
Yeah, people have sent us messages as well. So, Minister, you know, you spoke to my colleague Ayanda Nyati on this show at a time when the SRD 350 came with a whole range of challenges. And one of those challenges was, in the midst of COVID-19, incredibly long lines of people, which your department had pledged to sort out while those SRD payments were still being made. And arguably, it's a situation you actually couldn't bring under control, those long lines. Now that the president has widened the net, many, many more people are eligible for the SRD 350. How are you going to deal with the issue of queuing?
Well, remember that most of the payments are made at post office, at SAPO offices, because SAPO is the designated pay method for the social grants in terms of the regulations and of the Social Assistance Act. So we have already had a meeting with the Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams, and we've already had a meeting with her team and the CEOs, both of SASSA as well as the Post Office and the Post Bank. We have engaged with them to see what is it that needs to be done, because we cannot afford a continued challenge of queues, we have to manage those queues. However, I do want to indicate that we are not out of COVID yet. And as a result, part of what becomes a problem is the number of people inside the post office who are able to work. We've been hard hit by COVID-19, especially SASSA. SASSA has been the most hard hit in our portfolio with the number of people who get COVID inside, and therefore we operate not at the maximum which we normally have. What we have then said to the post office that it's the dignity of the people first and foremost, even if the queues might be long. It is about being innovative and creative about how do you do things differently. Remember that even the social grants themselves, we had to stagger them in order for us to reduce the number of people who go to the post office. The post office has also developed another method of trying to reduce the numbers by making sure that it will send the SMSs to people so that not everybody goes to the post offices. Only when you get the SMS will you go to the post office. But that's not the only problem. The problem that we've been addressing with the minister as well as the post office and the team is the unavailability of funds when people come to the post office. We've already said that that is not acceptable for us. We will watch this space. We will continue to have the meetings with them. We have a situation room that does an analysis of where is the post office, where the post office is. We're going to have a dashboard also where people will be able to see where the challenges are and troubleshoot. But also we've asked them to create something that can enable people to submit the problems as they see them. Because you'll recall also that we had a problem where people were forced to pay 50 rands before they get the money, or 50 rands for the queue and all that. We just believe that's absolutely nonsensical, that some people are taking advantage of people who are poor. Already you are taking the 50 rands from the 350. Already you are reducing the amount, which is actually little itself. If you think about it, that some people have to live with 350 rands, but the good thing is that many families pull that money together in order for them to survive. Others started little businesses, small businesses, in order to make money out of the money.
Yeah. Minister, speaking of people who take advantage of the poor, the last time we had the Social Relief of Distress grant, a number of government officials implicated in also cashing in on that 350 rand who could have gone, that could have gone to someone who actually needed it. Corruption endemic in the disbursement of the funds as well. What have we learnt? And what lessons are we taking into this latest round of payments?
Absolutely. One of the reasons why we decided we were not just going to, after the president has made the announcements, we're going to then immediately disperse the money, is because we have a report. We have a report actually that gives us lessons learned from the disbursement of the 350, including our own checks and balances and systems, from the application, from the time that people are applying to the approval. What systems do you have in place? You'll recall at the time that we had to check our database against other database of government and those that are employees of government. And of course, in the process, in the system, some people slipped through. In comparison, the number was quite small, but we don't want no numbers of anybody coming in onto our grid to apply when they know perfectly well they're not supposed to do that. So we're going to be tightening our systems, and it's lessons learned. In fact, as we were having the discussion, SASSA itself said to us the current systems that they have, which, by the way, we did not get a budget for improving our systems in the past. We simply just use the systems of SASSA. So this time around, we're looking at internally what other systems need to be improved, and where are we going to get the money to improve the systems, because to improve systems is about using technology. For instance, you have to acquire the technology. It means you must get the technology from other people, and that's very costly. And we did not get any money from Treasury for fixing that. So we'll have to be much more innovative and creative because we know where the problems are. I think we'll be able to deal with it better than we did when we started in 2020.
Yeah, we hope so. Minister, I know I'm pushing it in terms of the time we have with you, but I need to just ask you a question about when we're going to get to the discussion that analysts are calling for in terms of a basic income grant. You know, that 1,268 rand, which takes us closer to the upper bound poverty line.
Look, we're very far with the conversations and discussions about it, and I don't want to go back to the historical background as to how did we get to where we are. This government of the African National Congress had long developed through the Taylor Committee documents that related to the basic income grant and what needed to be done. Unfortunately, the issues were always like, where's the money going to come from? And I'm saying, is it better for us to be asking about where the money is going to come from, or is it better for us, can we afford to have so many people on the streets without money? Can we afford people not having anything that they can use in order to improve themselves? And I want to also indicate that this thing that people are talking about, us creating a nanny state, us creating a dependency, I know as a matter of fact that majority of South Africans do want to go and work. Majority of South Africans are looking for opportunities to do things for themselves, but the environment is not conducive for them, and therefore this discussion has gone a long way. The ANC itself, through its own structures, including the National Executive Committee, approved that we go ahead with it. We just need to then now take the process through to Parliament, get the approvals. But of course, we are not doing this without the engagement of Treasury, because it's not to say we are unconscious of the challenges of the fiscus, but we're saying to everybody, we cannot afford the number of people who are rising, who are in poverty, who are in hunger, who are in unemployment, that have absolutely nothing to try and make their life better.
Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu, thanks very much for your time this morning on the AM report. And in terms of dates and when the disbursements will start, we're told tomorrow is when the Social Development Department will be holding a briefing. It will give more clarity on the verification and approval process, particularly the commencement of the application process. But we do know it will start this month. We just need to get a proper date for you. So stay tuned to the channel tomorrow for that briefing by the department.